Do you really want her? Or do you just not know who you are without her? Why do you think of her when you're finally alone in the quiet? Why does it always happen at night? A screen in your hand, warmth in your palm, and a cold emptiness inside. Are you sure it's desire? Or is it a desperate attempt to remember who you are in a world where you've already disappeared? At first, it feels like a simple pull of the body. You justify it. Everyone does it. It's natural. You convince yourself it's just a moment of stimulation, like a sip of coffee. But what's brewing inside isn't caffeine, it's acid hunger. Not longing, erasure. People have called it passion for centuries, but only a few ever saw it clearly. This isn't the cry of the flesh, it's the cry of the soul. St. Augustine, long before his Confessions, wandered from bed to bed, not because he wanted bodies, but because he was trying to escape his severed self. He wasn't a libertine, he was a fugitive from silence. You don't want her. You just want to stop being you, to escape this body, this mind, this echo in your chest that whispers, "You're nothing unless someone wants you." But who put that lie inside your ribcage? Who told you your worth only exists in someone else's eyes? You don't notice how you turn yourself into a product, first in their eyes, then in your own. You're no longer human, you're hunger. You don't seek touch, you seek proof. And behind every imagined kiss is silence. Behind every fantasy, the void you refuse to face. Carl Jung once said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid confronting their own soul." You think you're chasing pleasure, but you're really just running from the mirror. Lust isn't sin, it's a symptom, a sign you've forgotten what it feels like to be whole. You're searching in others for what you exiled from yourself. You're not the only one. Caesar, the conqueror of empires, was still enslaved by his craving for affirmation. Not because he was weak, but because he needed someone's body to convince him he mattered. He could command nations, but couldn't survive a night without someone breathing beside him. You feel it, don't you? That itch under the skin, that trembling, not from desire, but from fear. You're not afraid of being alone. You're afraid of discovering who you are without the fantasy, without these artificial highs, without this illusion of being needed. You're terrified of your own insignificance, so you bury it between someone else's legs. Until you learn how to sit in the silence, until you can endure the itch of your own self without replacement, you'll stay chained to lust. And no one, no matter how beautiful, will bring you peace. Because you're not chasing her, you're chasing yourself. When she fades from the screen, when your fingers release the phone, what's left? When the last image flickers out and your body lies still, what remains? Nothing. And that's what terrifies you most. You thought there would be relief. You believed it would soothe you, like a warm bath after a long day. But your soul doesn't rest. It burns down. Not comfort, but numbness. Not satisfaction, but disconnection. You don't feel fulfilled. You feel fractured, because once again, you brushed against your shadow and fled. Lust isn't the call of life. It's its imitation, like a stage set, beautiful from afar, but hollow behind the curtain. You keep reaching through flesh for something only pain can reveal, but you run from pain. Every time you could stay with the feeling, you vanish. You don't fight lust, you surrender to boredom. You don't crave passion, you crave to feel alive. But real aliveness lives in the depths, and you only choose the surface. You're afraid to look inside, because what waits there is a hunger you can't name. You don't even know what you truly want. You just know there's coldness inside, and you chase the nearest warmth. But that warmth doesn't heal. It only delays the reckoning. You live from one dopamine flash to the next, from fantasy to fantasy, from face to face. No one stays, not even you, with yourself. You don't build, you replace. You don't fall in love. You fill a hole. You don't seek intimacy. You run from yourself in disguise. You keep saying, it's just a need. But who told you that need was yours? What if it's a borrowed voice in your head, planted by marketing, culture, childhood wounds? You say, I'm a man. It's natural. But what's the nature of your hunger? What are you trying to fill? Skin or soul? You don't answer. Because if you did, you'd have to stop running. And you don't know how to stand still. But that's exactly where healing begins. In the moment, you don't follow the impulse. When you stay, sweating, shaking, and ask yourself, what's speaking in me right now? Is it lust or is it pain? Jung called this the threshold of return, the moment the soul stops screaming and begins to whisper. And if you stay, even for a second, you just might hear it for the first time. You call it attachment. You call it attraction. Sometimes you even dare call it love. But does love leave you empty? Does love vanish the moment release hits? Does love keep asking for more, yet never feel satisfied? No, this isn't love. It's addiction disguised in a beautiful word. It's thirst you're trying to drown in others, though the source is buried deep inside you. You're convinced it's about her. You say, she's different. But didn't you say that about every woman who stirred something that made you feel even remotely alive? You don't love her. You love who you become beside her. Visible, wanted, vital. But the moment the connection fades, you dissolve back into grey. That's how Marlon Brando lived. A genius who became a shadow of his own charisma. He flooded the screen with magnetism, but off camera, he drowned in women, in rage, in sorrow, because he didn't know who he was without their gaze, without the fleeting illusion of significance. He wasn't chasing love. He was chasing rescue from his own obscurity. Just like you don't want someone to love. You want someone to pull you out of non-existence. You call it romance, but it's a transaction. You give attention to earn validation. You offer passion to buy a moment of worth. Everything inside you is a deal. You don't touch, you grasp. You don't feel, you consume. You don't love, you project. Jung once said, when the anima is not integrated, a man cannot feel without attachment. He cannot love without dissolving into another. You're not in love with her. You're in love with the piece of yourself you buried, your tenderness, your vulnerability, your warmth. You see her, but what you feel is yourself. She's just the screen onto which you project everything you no longer know how to find within. That's why you crave harder. That's why you unravel when she doesn't reply. That's why you can't stop, even when it's destroying you. You're not chasing her. You're chasing the part of yourself you exiled long ago. And until you bring it back, every woman will only reflect your hunger, and none will satisfy it. You walk into a room, but you're not really there. You speak, but you don't hear. You laugh, but inside, silence echoes. Your body moves through life, but your soul checked out long ago. You become a ghost wandering among people with eyes full of absence. You can touch skin, but feel no warmth. You can seduce, but sense no connection. Because lust doesn't connect. It copies, it imitates, it parodies love, but never delivers intimacy. You crave presence, but receive performance. At first, it's subtle. You still believe you're in control. You toy with desire, thinking you're the one holding the leash. But you're already inside the loop. Trigger, impulse, release, emptiness, repeat. You become like a worn-out film reel, the same scene on loop. And even when your mouth is quiet, your mind screams. You fear the pause, because that's when the voice you've buried starts to speak. You've become a consumer instead of a creator. You stopped creating. You stopped dreaming. You stopped listening inwardly. All your energy is spent sustaining the illusion that someone else is the missing piece to make you whole. But that's the core lie. Lust promises you power, but makes you dependent. It promises life, but delivers numbness. It doesn't bring you closer to others. It disconnects you from yourself. You lose interest in the real. Your reality feels too slow, too dull, too unsexy compared to what you can imagine. Real people disappoint you because they can't compete with your fantasy. You no longer know how to be present. You're always chasing just a little more. One more face, one more message, one more spark. But the more you chase, the less you find. Because you're not chasing love, you're running from silence. When Jung wrote about psychic possession, this is what he meant. A state where you're no longer acting, you're being acted through. Where desire is no longer your choice, it's your prison. And if you don't break the cycle, it becomes your new identity. You're no longer a man with a soul, you're a vessel for impulses. You forget not just how to love, you forget how to be. How many times did you tell yourself, I'm doing what I want, I don't owe anyone, it's my body, my choice? How many times did you repeat, I'm just enjoying life, it's natural? And every time, instead of freedom, you became more dependent, more empty, more a stranger to yourself. You weren't living, you were looping, you weren't choosing, you were reacting. And now here you are, tired, number, carrying this vague feeling that something or someone is using you, when in truth, you're the one opening the door. You didn't notice when you gave away your fire, that sacred inner spark meant to fuel your meaning, your creativity, your inspiration. You burned it for a brief rush. You traded your soul for a stimulus. And you don't even remember when the trade happened. Lust cuts you off from depth. It makes you fast, but not whole. It gives you a reaction, but not connection. You learned how to get aroused, but forgot how to feel. You can't cry anymore. Prayer feels foreign. Eye contact is hard. Waiting is impossible. Silence feels like punishment. And that is the real cost. Not shame, not sin, but dullness. You've gone deaf to your soul, but it's not too late. Because if you're still reading this, something in you is stirring. The part you tried to silence, it's not weakness, it's a voice. The voice of the part of you that was exiled, forgotten, buried. Jung said, you don't heal the shadow by killing it. You heal it by facing it and saying, I see you, I accept you, but you don't get to lead me anymore. This is where the return begins. Not through willpower, not through shame, but through presence, through staying, through saying, I choose not to run, I choose to feel, I choose me. You weren't broken, you were lost, you weren't sinful, you were starving, and now it's time to feed your soul. Not with fantasy, but with truth, not with stimulation, but with meaning, not with lust, but with love. Love for yourself, real, patient, present. And if any part of this reached you, if even one sentence felt like your reflection, then stop. Close your eyes, breathe, and ask, if I stop running, what will I find inside me? If this story spoke to your soul, drop a comment below. Tell me what you've really been searching for. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. This isn't just content, it's a path home. Welcome back.